Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Motherhood Journey. I am Jamia Morrow Perkins, and today I really wanted to address a topic that really hit home, and I'll apologize in advance if I cried during the making of this. I want to talk today about suicide awareness and about bullying. This is a tough one for me because this week, if you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, we experienced a terrible tragedy. A young lady that was my daughter's classmate committed suicide. Allegedly, she was found hanging in her dorm room at the boarding school that they had both attended. This for me was hard because it just hit home. Never thinking I would have to have this conversation with my 13-year-old daughter. Never thinking that I, as a parent, would be too emotional to comprehend what was going on. Being though my mental health background, I've had plenty of experience with dealing with this, but never as dealing with a minor committing suicide. Earlier this summer, last summer, my son had a football teammate from another team that had committed suicide as well. And I'm really struggling with it, and it's bothering me to my core because I want to just understand, why is suicide an option for our kids? Why is this a thing to say, this is my option because life is not going my way? Or why is this the thought process? So, of course, I did a little research, and I just wanted to really talk to parents. I really wanted to talk to the youth today. And let's bring this topic to the forefront. Let's stop letting suicide be a secret. Let's stop letting it be hidden in the closet. Let's stop these kids from feeling like they are alone in this world when there are plenty of individuals that are out here to support the children. First, with suicide, like I said, is now the third leading cause of death of our youth between the ages of 10 and 24. The third leading cause. In 2013, it was the 10th leading cause. So between 2013 and 2017, now 2018, what has changed is my question. What has created this spark of suicide in our youth? So again, I want to just give a whole bunch of resources. I want to provide context. I want to provide just a lot of knowledge and information, because sometimes we don't know, because suicide has been so hidden. It's been, a stigma has been placed on it that we don't talk about it. So it's swept under the rug. Well, today I want that to not happen any longer. I had a almost 2-hour conversation with my daughter about suicide and about the signs, and talking to her and trying to explore her feelings and what's going on in her life, and has she, besides this incident, encountered it before. And I was shocked because my daughter had revealed to me that a couple of her classmates had talked about harming themselves, about killing themselves because of being bullied or just not feeling like they could make it through a situation. So I just wanted to put this out for us to have this conversation. So some of the warning signs of suicide is that the person is talking about it, that it's a topic of conversation, that it may come up subtly, or you may see them look up and research suicide, and they're talking about how to do it, ways to do it, means to complete the action. I I know women, through statistics, say we take pills or we do something that will be less dramatic than a male. Well, a male may shoot themselves. A female doesn't because of beauty. We don't want to be tarnished in death. So just listen to these people. Listen to your kids. Do you hear them having conversations about suicide, about talking about different things that they normally wouldn't talk about when it's surrounding death? Also, they're expressing unbearable pain. A lot of times our children mask their pain. We all know that if a child is angry or they're hurt, they act out. They do negative things. They become angry. They alienate themselves. They isolate themselves. You can't talk to them. The things that you used to could say, it upsets them because they're hurting. And kids' brains can't fathom how to express what's going on inside. So they act out. They get in trouble in school. They start disobeying the rules. They start doing the things that they would not normally do. And we go for, as parents, like, oh, I have to discipline, I have to punish. But that may not be it. It's just I'm masking my pain by acting out in these manners. So just really checking in with your child and finding out what's going on, because it could have been something that happened at school. It could have been something that happened on social media. It could have been something that's happened at home. We just don't know. But that pain that their child is feeling is so unbearable that they feel that, suicide is the only option. You know, when you see other signs that they start visiting and calling people and just telling people bye out of the blue, you know, that they'll miss them and, you know, things like that. Let that be a red flag. Something's not right, you know. Next, they're giving away things that they value the most. You know, little boys love their games and videos and their toys and things. When they start giving those to friends or not finding as much interest in the things that they used to do. So if your son or daughter is in the cheer, sports, whatever, and now they don't want to go to practice. They're not interested in practicing anymore. They're removed and not wanting to be involved. That's another red flag. That's something that's going on. Also, they are becoming cheerful after maybe weeks of going through this. I don't want to play. I don't want to do. I want to be by myself. Now it's like they have this instant burst of happiness. Just be aware that something might not be right. And these are just a couple of signs that, like I say, I went on the suicide CDC website, and they have these things. US Today had a great article, and again, I'll post all of these links for you to read the articles in their entirety down below, so please check that out. The more knowledgeable and educated we become about a topic, the less we fall victim to it. The more we have open discussions about suicide, the less prevalent suicide will become amongst our kids. So I also looked at what are the reasons that our children are wanting to commit suicide. And this is just my opinion and things that I observe having conversation with kids and other people are some of the reasons that our children's lack of self-esteem kind of resonated, that our kids don't have their own sense of identity, that they feel that it's external instead of it being internal. So they don't value themselves as much. They don't see themselves as being worthy or valuable of love, of care, of the world, of these things that normally a person who is very confident would exude. So these are points that we have to start looking at. Well, how can I increase my child's self-esteem? How can I increase their self-worth? How can I improve their self-esteem? And that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to start doing, is looking at ways to help these young kids identify their feelings and ultimately seeking out who they are. Because to me, I've learned that when I became okay with my big forehead, I'm okay with my body shape, that I'm okay with this unstraightened teeth. When I became okay with all of my flaws, it made me value me more. So when people talked about these things, it didn't bother me. I laughed and shrugged it off because those are a part of me. That's what makes Jamia Jamia. So it makes me different than the next person, and there's nothing wrong with being different. And that also comes with our teaching of our kids that social media doesn't have to make you or break you. Social media has come into our lives, and it's some good, it's some bad. With everything, it's a pro and a con. However, social media has become our children's lives. Every child is on Instagram, or they might have a Facebook page, or Snapchat and Twitter and all of these things. So what's happening is they're being exposed to topics, to situations, to conversations that I know for myself I didn't experience at 12, 13, 14 years old. I didn't experience the terminology of homosexual, or I didn't experience racism and just hatred as these kids are being exposed to. And so if a child snaps a picture and someone doesn't like it, and they're giving them negative comments or negative feedback, that this is destroying our babies, because that foundation, their self-esteem, was never established. So they're taking to heart what someone who could be 1,000 miles away is saying. Social media has given heart to cowards, given heart to people that come face to face would never say the things that they're saying to you on social media to your face. So it is giving people a platform to hurt people. It is giving people a platform to cause pain to people that they don't even know. And it's also causing like this rift, and it's desensitizing our kids to so much that they look at death. You go on, you can see a video of someone being murdered. You can look on and see someone being beat up, like viciously attacked and beat up on social media. And these are images that if you scroll your timeline, it's happening often. And it's a repost and a repost and a retweet and things like that. So if a child is involved in a fight and they're beat up, and someone records it and posts that video, that child has to now relive that and relive that and relive that one moment for the rest of their life. Can you imagine what that does to a child's psyche that is already fragile, that is unstable, that has not been able to form the necessary strength to process and endure through that situation? So now you have this fragile child that has been beat up, is now about to be teased, is now about to be taunted, talked about, disrespected, dehumanized by this one incident. Can you imagine being that child? Not knowing, or knowing everyone around you is talking about you. How would you manage that? How would you wake up every day and say, I gotta go to school and deal with that? People laughing, snickering, saying, oh, look, that's her, that's him. As a child that's 10, 11 years old, your mind can't take it. And then you may have the friend or the internet that's saying, oh, well, if you commit suicide, you don't have to do it. You know, if you kill yourself, you don't feel that pain anymore. That unbearable pain that you're feeling. That humiliation that you're feeling. So that becomes an option. Whereas back in the day, we got into a fight. You fought the person. Maybe a week or two, people are talking about it if you lost the fight. But then another fight will happen or something else will happen that will take away the attention from you. Nowadays, that's not happening to these children. They are reminded constantly of that incident. So, as parents, we have to really, really, really pay attention to our child's social media. What they're posting, what they're looking at on their timeline. What they're being exposed to. Is it something inappropriate? Is it something too mature for a child 10, 11, 12 to understand? You have to look at how they're being desensitized to everything that is being posted. Because kids, it has an age limit. But of course, I could put a year in. Instagram doesn't know I'm 10 if I say I was born in 1991. So our child is being exposed to something you and I that are above the age of 18 can process and disseminate what's fake, what's real, what's truth, what's not. So to them, seeing this is like, oh, if it's on the internet, it must be real. It must be fact. It must be true. And they live by that. So you're now creating this false reality for children. You're now creating this or lack of understanding because they see images and say, oh, I think that's cool. I see everybody else doing it. Why can't I? Let me try. And it's no filter. It's no buffer in that to say, no, this is not the right way to do things. This is not how you do that. This is not, or this should not have been done. So parents, I just encourage you to really limit your child's use of social media. Limit what they're watching. Limit how often they're on there. Look at what they're posting. Look at if it's inappropriate. Is it age appropriate? Is it going to cause some type of stirred up emotions or create mixed emotions in that child? You have to explain what's going on. And parents, trust me, I have the hardest time having some conversations with my 13-year-old and my 9-year-old. But I can't let my fear block something in them. I have to be honest and understand that, hey, as hard as this conversation may be, you have to have it with your child because you're planting a seed that will grow and it will find its way into her psyche for her to begin to understand and process what's going on, what am I seeing, and how to deal with it ultimately. And the next thing that I looked at as why suicide is parenting, or some people be like lack thereof. And to me, it's like, that's why I created this channel. It's not a lack thereof. It's if you knew better, you would do better. If you weren't taught certain things, you can't teach and pass that on to your child because you yourself had not learned it. I'm still at this age in my 30s learning things that I may be, or someone may say, I should have learned at 16, 17 in my 20s, but I wasn't taught it. So I had to, for lack of better term, learn it the hard way, which is nothing but experience. So in parenting, we have to begin to take back the control. We have to establish boundaries for our children when it comes to their social media, when it comes to their friendships, when it comes to their attitude, their dress, their behavior. We have to begin to draw that line in the sand and say, here's the expectations. These are the rules that I want you to follow. Because ultimately, you're trying to save your child's life. I know I'm trying to save mine. So I can't be my child's friend. She might not like me, might tell me she hate me. Okay. If your child has never told you they hated you, to me, I haven't done a good job. Because I can't be my daughter's friend. We're not mentally on the same level. We're not aged on the same level. We haven't experienced the same things. So we can have a bond. We can have a mother-daughter, a son-and-mother bond. But we can't be friends. I can't tell my child my secrets. I can't tell my child what's going on in my life. Some parts. But some parts, her mind, his mind can't understand. They can't grasp the concept. So we can't be friends. But also, I have to do all of this with a 4-letter word. Is LOVE. I have to do it in love. And sometimes that's hard because I know I be looking at my kids like, whew, if you only, you touching on that last nerve. But I have to understand that my child has been exposed to so much and has been desensitized to so much that love is never put in the equation. So I have to show my child some grace, some mercy, some favor, and some love at the end of the day. And it has to be sometimes tough love. It's going to be loving love, but it's in love. Everything you have to do, you have to think, is this coming from a place of love for your child? Because a lot of kids that I've counseled before, I've mentored before, have said at some point they didn't feel loved by their parents. And a good book that I had read while I was completing my thesis in my graduate school, I read the 5 love languages and was reading it. They have one for children, and again, I'll put it down below. But that short book changed my outlook on how I look at my children, how I even looked at myself. And they had a quiz at the back of the book, and I administered the quiz to both of my children, and in it showed what love language my child needed in order to feel that they were loved. As you know, we think I tell you I love you, I do this, but some kids aren't responsive to that. Some of the things of love, they have physical touch. That some kids, just need those good old hugs. They need to be up on the mommy and daddy. They need that physical touch to know I'm being loved. You have some kids that need that admiration. They need that positive verbal admiration to tell them, you're doing a good job, great job, good idea, way to go. They need that. So in that book, taking that quiz, my children were at 2 different spectrums. They needed different things to feel love. So what I was doing for one would not have worked for the other. And I would not have known that unless I read this book and gave them this quiz. And so it's things like that when you tap into your child's spirit, you tap into their mind, body, and soul, you create a connection that would allow you to have the hard talk conversations. But they need to be had. So that is my little tips and things as to why some of these children are feeling so overwhelmed that they want to commit suicide. And I know if you look on social media, the biggest one that kids are committing suicide over is bullying. I've always been an advocate for people that could not advocate for themselves. I'm sorry. I just feel that when you pick on somebody that's weaker than you, you're the weaker one at the end of the day. That bullying should not be allowed. It should not be something that is taken for as light. Bullying affects people. You know, the old saying used to say, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will never, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Today, these words are hurting our kids. Our kids are killing themselves at an alarming rate because they're being bullied. And this is to the kids. When you tease and taunt that person that doesn't look like you, that doesn't dress like you, that doesn't talk like you, that doesn't act like you, that's bullying. When you physically put your hands on someone to intimidate them, that's bullying. When you spread rumors and gossip about a person, that's bullying. Because you're creating a hostile environment that stops that person from feeling safe and secure. Bullying is so evil. That's the only word that I can put. And the thing is, our kids don't understand that. We as parents have to teach our children that you can not like or you can disagree, but you don't have to bully somebody because you don't like them, because you don't agree with them. You can't keep your distance from them. You don't have to speak on them. But when you do, you're making the choice to now become the bully. And with bullying, we have to have a wholehearted conversation to our children about what they say to people, about ganging up on people, about speaking negative, nasty thoughts into existence about people. Because, again, like I said, you have these kids' psyches that are so fragile. Their emotions are so unstable. And now I have this person day in and day out teasing me, taunting me, telling me I don't look good, telling me I don't have this. You not good enough because, of material things. Material things. Why is a material item something that will devalue, or you may not even have the next 6 months down the line, that important? We have to teach our children that it's okay to be different. Be proud of being different. Be proud of standing out from the crowd. We also have to show our children that bullying has consequences. They have consequences. That when you tease somebody, that when you taunt, when you pick on somebody, there's a consequence. Not just for them, but for you. As I stated, the young lady that was found hanging in her dorm room, my daughter's classmate. This young lady had been teased, had been bullied, and now she's dead. The person or children, whatever the case may be, probably never thought that their words would cause a person to kill themselves. But now a mom is without a child. We have to teach our kids that bullying is not the answer to solving any problem. Taunting, teasing, picking on somebody is not the way to resolve any situation. We also have to teach our children that they can accept the unknown. If you don't know about somebody or feel they're doing something weird, ask them. You may learn something, because knowledge is key. Bullying is just being fearful of something you don't understand. Teach our children that people that are different may not be that different if you have a conversation with them. They may not be that weird if you have a conversation with them. Get to know them. You may find out that you like them. So we have to really begin to talk to our kids about bullying. We have to talk to our kids about suicide awareness. These topics cannot continue to be swept under the rug. So I challenge parents, teachers, anyone that interacts with children to have these conversations. Because education is key. When kids begin to see that their actions have a consequence, a dangerous one, it will change some things. I look at just some of the solutions to suicide and bullying. Parents, I know for myself about practicing and teaching acceptance and love. Because when we become more accepting of other people, whether we agree with them or not, you begin to form an understanding that I may not like everything that you are about. And it may be because I don't know, because I'm afraid or whatever. But when I come to you in love and trying to understand you, it gives me a better understanding of you. And I now don't want to pick on you. My fear doesn't outweigh the love that I have. So when we walk around in love instead of fear, instead of anger, instead of these negative emotions, the outcome will be totally different. When somebody looks different than you, but yet you say hi or have a conversation or just simply smile, the outcome will be different. You know, also parents, we have to keep in constant communication with our children. Not just, hey, how you doing? How your day go? I mean, literally digging in. Not just letting them say, it's okay. My 9-year-old does this every day. How was school? It was okay. What does okay mean? What does that look like? And I have to make him break it down to me. What does an okay day look like? Because he may have been desensitized and the kid got into a fight, or he may have gotten into a fight and that looked like an okay day to him. Because his environment may deem that that's some normal stuff. So that was an okay day. That's usual. I don't want him to believe that that's okay. So having a conversation and breaking down what does okay look like. Well, what really happened today? We have to delve deeper into talking to our kids. We have to let them know that that line of communication is open. That way, when they are feeling down, depressed, anxious, in pain, whatever the case may be, that they can say, Mom, I don't know what I'm feeling. Dad, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I want to talk to you about it. Because you kept that line open. Now, granted, some things you may not want to hear. But I'd rather hear them and give them the information and the truth than them go to somebody in the street that does not have their best interest and they give them false information. And now my child believes that that information that they receive is accurate. So we have to start these conversations. Because again, we want to change the outcome. We also, with social media, parents, we have to monitor social media. If your child have a password, you should know it. If your child on Instagram, you should know the account information. You should be on there, who they looking at, what they posting, what their interests are, all of this. What they Snapchat, I know it disappeared with them. When they snapping, you better be snapping right with them. Because saying, oh, I'm just going to let them be. No, because you don't know who's on the other end of that phone posting something to your child, presenting information to your child. So we have to monitor. They don't like it, so what? Oh well. I had my own experience with my daughter being on Instagram and posting. Oh, I went through that. Do you understand that this is inappropriate? And again, that expectation of this is why this is inappropriate. This is why this is not age appropriate. This is the reason why you should not be doing this. Because a lot of times they just don't know. They see everybody else posting. Little girls with half dressed and this makeup and, just stuff that makes them look way older, and they're getting that older attention. But yet their mind cannot comprehend and process that older attention. Also, being active at your child's school. For me, every teacher my child has knows my face. They know my number. They have my email. I stay active in my child's school. So that way, my child know I'm not alone. And the teachers know there's nothing you can do that mommy will not know about. So the more active we become in the schools, the more accountable we hold our schools, the more we get to see the people that are educating our kids. What are they teaching your child? How are they treating your child? What are they allowing your child to be exposed to? We can't just drop them off at the bus stop, drop them off at the front door, pick them up 6, 7, 8 hours later. We have to be actively involved. Because as the old saying say, it takes a village to raise a child. And that school is a part of your village. Now, I'm in the D.C. area where we have some schools that have lack of funding, lack of resources, lack of dedicated teachers. But we, on the other hand, have some dedicated, wonderful teachers that use the resources that they have to provide the best education for our kids. But how would you know what type of teacher is at your child's school if all you do is drop them off and pick them up at the end of the day? We all have to be accountable to our kids. We all have to be accountable to our children. So I'm asking and challenging anyone that interacts with children, please have these conversations about suicide, about bullying, and why it's not acceptable. And it should not be tolerated in any school, home, work environment. We have to teach our children that is a better way to express your dislike a better way to express your anger, your fears, your frustration. And that comes through conversation. So down below again, I will be posting resources, articles, suicide prevention line. If anyone is struggling with that and you feel you don't, it's someone out there that you can talk to. That line is run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Whenever you need to call and talk to somebody, please, kids, please don't ever feel you can't have a conversation with your parents. And parents, don't ever feel you can't have a conversation with your child. Because you never know, that conversation could save your child's life. So, I know this was a heavy topic, but I just had to post this because I'm tired of seeing our children die. I'm tired of seeing our children die in situations that could have been preventable. So to anyone that has lost a child, a family member to suicide, I will pray for you. I hope that you are able to find peace and comfort, that someone will love on you and help you through that situation. And again, I'll post links for, I know, centers in the DMV area that are equipped with handling grief. I'll post those links below. So please share this video. Please talk to your kids about suicide and about bullying. Thank you.